Hey, it's Lynne Golodner, and this is the Make Meaning podcast. I'm founder of the Your People marketing and PR agency, and I lead the Make Meaning movement, a platform that helps purpose-driven visionaries and leaders do business with meaning. On this podcast, you'll hear stories of how people dare to take chances to live the life they want, with meaningful work and purposeful days. There are many ways to fill your life with meaning. Join us at makemeaning.org to learn more. Now, on to the show. Today on the Make Meaning podcast, I'm excited to interview Adri Smith, founder of Moss Floral Design in Fort Worth, Texas. Adri discovered her love of flowers as a child when she would sit in her mother's garden each spring, smelling the hyacinths and admiring the irises. Then, while planning her wedding in 2008, she worked closely with her florist, whose creative designs and impressive service reignited her own passion for beautiful florals. After the wedding, Adri set about creating a business of her own, and in 2012, Moss Floral was born. Adri has styled high-end weddings, infused interns with her own passion, and traveled to Tuscany to teach a floral workshop. Adri, welcome to the Make Meaning podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to chat with you because I have just loved researching you in preparation for this interview. I mean, your work is beautiful. I felt like I was witnessing an artist. So I want to hear about how you created your company. Take me on that journey.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting. And it was a totally unexpected journey. I was a teacher for 7 years. I really didn't know. I love kids. I do love teaching. I just didn't feel like the classroom was my calling, and I wasn't sure where I was meant to be, so to speak. And so I just had kind of one foot in, one foot out, and I wanted really badly to know what my calling was for some reason. Like I just never felt content. And so, like you said, when I got married, I knew, I love flowers. I've always loved flowers. And I knew that's where I wanted to put the bulk of our budget. And I found my florist, researched a lot of florists, went to bridal shows, and she was amazing. She walked me through the process. She held my hand. I had a vision and I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't put it into words. And she was so great. She was patient with me. And so it was just a great experience overall. So that kind of set something off. I was like, oh, I want to see what this is like, playing with flowers, and I do stuff at home. And I kind of just jumped in, all in. I went and I was like, okay, well, I don't know anything about this. I'm learning, but I'm going to go ahead and start my business and just see where it takes me. So I set up my business. I was working out of my house for probably 2 or 3 years, and still kind of one foot in, one foot out.
It's really interesting to me because as I was doing some research about you to prepare for the interview, I really loved how you sort of went back to childhood and, remembered how much you loved being in the garden and how much the flowers spoke to you. And I find that, as I'm developing the whole Make Meaning movement and we're producing so many episodes of this podcast, I'm really focusing on how people find meaning, and then their meaning drives the work they do. It makes such a more fulfilling life. So much of it takes us back to when we were younger, and we just did what felt right and what spoke to us. And I think as adults, we kind of have to relearn that a little bit. I mean, don't you think?
I love that. I think that's so true. I mean, I think a lot of what we experience in childhood carries on and manifests itself in adulthood, whether it's parenting, your work, how, like you said, how you find meaning in life. And I just know, I felt so much joy just being outside and my mom's garden and, like you said, smelling the hyacinth, the irises. And I just wanted to kind of cultivate that joy again. And, I didn't plan on, I had zero art background. I didn't know, I had not planning on being an artist or a floral designer. And so it's just funny how it manifests itself.
Well, it seems like you have like a natural instinct. I was going through your recent Facebook photos, which are just so gorgeous. And, I saw a post where you arranged cut flowers from your garden. And both the images and the flowers are really art, in my opinion. I mean, and then I saw an image with one single flower and the caption isolated but not alone. So it's like this poetic metaphor that really speaks to all of us at this time. So I wonder, like, take me a little bit through how you come up with a concept for a client, or like how you're creating these designs to speak to a particular event or aesthetic.
That's a great question. So it's hard because one thing when I was well, I wasn't the planner for my wedding, but when I was walking through the process of my wedding, one thing I loved about my florist was she wanted to get what I wanted right.
Sure,
She
sure.
wanted my vision to come to life.
Hmm.
And I find like that's such a delicate balance because that's what I wanted to bring to my company is I wanted my brides to get what they wanted. Like I want to bring their vision to life and I want to be true to that. But it's also hard balancing and again, that a lot of that'll fall on Pinterest, what they see, because they just don't, they're not educated in all of the different fields that go into their wedding. And so,
Sure, sure.
it's balancing that with, your artistic vision and bringing your vision and your design into the wedding. And I
Hmm.
think once you get yourself established and you continue to post your work and play with flowers and establish your design, then they'll be attracted to that and they'll want you to bring what you have to offer to their wedding. And so it makes it a little bit easier, but it is hard. It is a balancing act because I want to bring their vision to life and then marry it with my design aesthetic. So it's,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. It sounds like you're saying, you at the same time have to be a great listener to really help your brides articulate what they want and like put it into something tangible that you can translate into florals. But then you also want them to come to you for your expertise. You've been doing this a long time and, you could help to infuse their vision with a little more clarity, I'm assuming.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's great. And it's like, if you just, like you said, listen to what they want and then verbalize it back to them with just, suggestions and
Mhm.
gentle tips. Like, what if we did this? Like, this flower is really in season right now and it has some of those beautiful pink tones, but also brings in some mauve tones and kind of some earthy tones that'll set your wedding apart from what we see, on Pinterest and generally speaking. So it's just educating them and providing those tips to just make their wedding a little bit more unique and different and that's special for them. So yes,
Absolutely. And, we talk a lot about, I mean, this whole show is about making meaning and, which comes first. You have the meaning and then you act, or the other way around. But I know that you always keep in mind the why behind your work, why you want to do this, really about the experience that your wedding florist gave to you and how you want to replicate that. And you told me a little bit about how you have some daily precepts that sort of help you stay grounded in your own meaning. I hope you don't mind. I want to share them with our listeners and then just ask you a little bit about it. But you said
sure.
that you turn your will and your life over to a higher power.
Mhm.
You do the next right thing when upset or confused, and you get into action. And then you treat others how you want to be treated. And, it sounds simple, but I think it might be really challenging, especially in tough times, to stay grounded in these concepts. And so I'm just wondering, how did you become so clear to have these guiding principles? And then how do you play them out, in reality?
That's a great question. So I've been through just the different experiences I've had in life. I just went through a period in my life when I was in my 20s and teens that was very difficult. And I made some pretty crazy choices. I'm sort of a little bit of a rebellious streak. And so I had to go through some work to just get myself back to where I needed
Mhm.
to be a good mom, to be a good person, and to have, meaning in my life. Um, and so those were the principles that were given to me, that were taught to me. And so I use them every single day because I know
Mhm.
that every day is a gift and every day I mean, all of this, my floral journey really started when after I went through this period. And
Uh-huh.
so, I see it as a gift. And, every day when I don't live by those principles, if I take a day off and I just kind of slack and like, oh, I can get through this day, just doing
Uh-huh.
it on my own and what I want to do,
Uh-huh.
then, I find that, that day doesn't normally go the best. So if I
Yeah.
just, submit to, my higher power and I choose to do things, I just roll with it. I just
Yeah.
go through the day and try to make the best of it. I mean, then usually I find that it'll be a pretty good day. So that's just, how I've gotten there. And I feel like if I just make sure I, do those principles each day, it definitely helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
So,
So now you specialize in weddings, and
mhm.
was that like a deliberate decision? You just wanted to work with weddings, or have there been other events that you've dabbled in, but you just sort of specialize in this area? Like, how did you come to that niche?
Well, when I started and I went all in, I just went straight to weddings because that's all I knew.
Okay.
As I've grown, I have dabbled in corporate events a little bit. Have some clients that we do corporate events for, and but weddings, I love weddings. I think it's a journey. It's a process. I love the process. Brides, they want the best for their weddings, and I want to be my best. I want to do my very best design work.
Sure.
And so that's where I want to bring is the best flowers, the best everything for them. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good fit for me.
And then I was really curious about the workshop that you taught in Tuscany. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it was amazing. So I was approached by this wonderful lady, Pamela,
Uh-huh.
and she owns a business called Strata Toscana, where she brings in different artists all over the world
Hmm.
and hosts them at this venue. And it's a villa, and she has attendees come, and it's not they're really from the USA mostly,
Uh-huh.
and that artist will teach them for a week, and then but they also will have excursions included.
Okay.
She has a chef who makes the most amazing food.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it is such a treat. It's basically like a little retreat, but you
Uh-huh.
get that specialty. You get to learn like photography or painting or
Uh-huh.
what have you. So she invited me, and I got to teach a floral design workshop. It was about 3 days. But
Wow.
we went. It was so wonderful. We went and toured Puccina Flower Farm,
Uh-huh.
and they were the most amazing ladies, and they hosted us for lunch, and we got to eat under an olive tree,
Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
just it was a dream. I didn't think it was real, but it was, and it was just such a wonderful experience. So
That is so
I
cool.
yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah. So what has been the best part of the work you do? You've been in business 8 years. You're clearly incredibly talented and have such a vision for how to work with florals, but what has been the best part for you?
My favorite part, I believe, is just a challenge to myself. I feel like personally, I never feel satisfied with, I always want to keep getting better. And
Sure.
so I feel like that's a daily challenge. I can't rest on my laurels. I'm always trying to be a better designer, be better with color, be better with movement in my designs,
Uh-huh.
find the best flowers. And so I feel like that just keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me motivated to keep getting better.
Uh-huh.
And plus, on the business side of it, I feel like every wedding, I always try to take something away from every wedding I do. And
Mhm.
so every wedding's new, it's different. It's a challenge. So I want to, every bride is different. So again,
Sure.
it keeps us on our toes because we want to make sure we make their wedding different, special, unique, and we take away something from that wedding that'll make us
Absolutely.
better.
Very
Mhm.
cool. Very cool. Do you see any continuity between, you work with the bride for the wedding and then do they come back to you for other events or, maybe referring you to their friends? Like how does that sort of chain of reaction happen?
Yeah, and that's always the best compliment is when they come back. So
Yeah.
I did recently have a previous bride come and ask for an arrangement for one of her friends who I think was in the hospital. So
Oh,
that was, but yes, I do have brides come back, and I really, that just speaks to, how much they enjoyed our work. So I think that is special. And we'll do baby showers. We'll do, just an everyday arrangement. I know when all of this started happening with the shelter in place and the quarantine and this epidemic, one bride wanted me to send some flowers to her parents. So we were able to do that. So it's just little things here and there. And it's just great hearing from them and staying in touch. So it's definitely appreciated.
That is so awesome. I really love that. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. And when we publish the episode and our interview, we're going to share all kinds of ways for people to get in touch with Moss Floral Design so they can find you. But I want to leave with one question, something that we want to leave our listeners with. When we talk about finding meaning, a lot of times we have to give ourselves permission to really go with what makes us happy, with what speaks to us at the core. And so I wonder if you have an idea of a permission slip you want to leave our listeners for, living by their meaning or giving themselves permission to go after their dreams and try to make them a reality.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say and I've done this recently, is just to do like a gut check. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I pursuing this? And really listen to yourself. It takes some time and it takes some meditating on it. But if you really for me, I had to ask myself permission. Why do I want to do this? And it's just to challenge myself. I want to get better. I want to be the best that I can be. And I want to, if I make a mistake or I do a design and I take a picture of it, I'm like, oh, I needed to add more flowers here, or give some more negative space here, and then learn from that. So kind of try to find the why behind what you're doing. And I feel like when you find that and stay true to it, because that'll really guide you and you can enjoy it more. You can know why, enjoy the purpose of what you're doing. So and you can just be present in that. And I think if you give yourself the permission to do that gut check and to and just to be true to it, then you will have enjoy the purpose of doing what you're doing. So
I love that. Well, I'm sure our listeners will respond to that permission slip, and I really appreciate it. And it's just been so great to speak with you, Adri Smith. I love what you've built. I love that you took the leap from a teaching career, which I'm sure you found really fulfilling, and I'm sure your students did as well. But to really go with your gut and figure out what spoke to you, and look at what beauty you're putting into the world. So thank you so much, Adri Smith.
Thank you. It's so great speaking with you.
Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast with Lynne Golodner. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like what you've heard here, join us over at makemeaning.org to discover how you can add more meaning to your life. And hey, if you like our conversations, please subscribe and share this episode with the meaningful people in your world.